Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Season 4 Finale, Owari. Now, I looked this up last week, but Owari actually means the end. And this was a really good season finale. We're going into some really weird stuff. They're calling it like the Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I think that starts up March 19th or something like that. So, very curious how that's going to play out. If it's going to be, I'm assuming based off of the promo for the next episode, it's not going to be just one episode. I feel like we're going to get like multiple short arcs, like maybe 3 episode or 2 episode arcs for a while, and then they'll get into the big main stuff again. But going into this finale, it was pretty intense. It was a great opening. A little bit of dialogue that I wish was there, but for everyone who may or may not have been paying attention, to the far right during the burial sequence, Pigeon Pete was there, and it looked like he had a kid or something. It was like a little bird who had like a giant brain, and like, did Pigeon Pete have a kid or something? Because that was, I don't know how many episodes ago, but it was like, yeah, we don't talk about what happened to Pigeon Pete. I'm like, hey, there he is, seemingly with a child. So I don't know that I noticed it for sure, because I was like, oh, there's Pigeon Pete, he's not dead. And it looks like he actually has a kid. So I don't know what that means. They didn't talk about it, but he was there, and he had like a little chicken with a giant brain on his head. So I don't know, or maybe that was a tiny pigeon with a giant brain. I don't know, but I noticed that. So for those of you who may not have, Pigeon Pete is not dead. Because once they said that a few episodes back, I was like, I don't know. So it was cool to see him there, and I was just like, are we going to talk about that? Because that whole Pigeon Pete ominous thing, like he died or something, that's been up in the air for a while, and he was just there. But we had all the characters gather. Everyone has, a small ceremony for Master Splinter, and they actually carved like a stone version of him, which looked really cool. I kind of wish like I could buy that on sale, honestly. But they have the moment, and of course all the characters fade away one by one, and then eventually Leo leaves and he goes off by himself, and he actually sees Master Splinter. And I don't know why I'm so stupid that I forgot about this entire element of the Ninja Turtles. But the spirit realm, they've even talked about it in this version of the series, but I was like, oh yeah, they do that like all the effing time, where there's a spiritual realm and they can talk with people or astral project themselves to different planes and all sorts of stuff. And when that happened, I was like, oh yeah, I guess he could totally show up quite often. I don't think they're going to do that. I think this was like an introduction to it, and it was sort of, an easy way to explain it would be Leo in heightened senses of emotion. Of course, it was right as they were having their burial, and he's finally going off by himself for the first time to really think about his father dying. So it makes sense he'd show up there. And then he showed up at the very end of the episode when he's the last turtle on the rooftop fighting against Shredder. So I'm like, it makes sense. That's an easy way to explain it, how he was able to get so in tune with the other plane because of just the emotional state that he was in at the very beginning and very end, like those peaks. But it was still really good, and I'm glad they had that happen. I was like, because it was just, like I said, I knew about it, but I totally forgot, even though they referenced it in this version of the series as well. Totally slipped my mind until Master Splinter like actually showed up, and I was like, actually, like before he even explained it, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I'm dumb. I totally forgot, even though I've seen so many versions of Ninja Turtles. I know a lot of the comic stories. I don't read them as much as I would like to, or because that's none at all. But I knew about the astral stuff, and it was really funny. As soon as he popped up, I was like, oh, astral plane. Yeah, I forgot about that. So we can see Master Splinter in the future. I just assume it'll be few and far between, which still sucks. And even when we do see him, it's still going to be like he's there for the Turtles to talk to for like a quick bit of advice, and then of course he's gone because he's technically still dead. So I'm curious how they're going to kind of go about that, how often he will show up, and what they'll do with that, and what abilities the Turtles are going to gain, trying to have more time with their father, something like that. So I think they got to do some really great stuff with that. But after that moment, it gets intense. I mean, that was like the somber moment to kind of let us be okay a little bit, I guess, after the last episode. And it goes into just planning. It's like, this is what we're going to do. We have to find Shredder. They go to Karai. They find out where his secret base is. They suit up. And I mentioned this when we came back, a few episodes back, that in the opening, they have the scene where the Turtles are all in the black outfits, like Leo had, I believe that was earlier this season. And I was like, well, they show it, and it's the scene with like Raph and Donnie, so at some point, I'm guessing we're going to see all 4 of the turtles in like the Black Ninja outfits. And it was this episode. And it was very cool to see that, if I'm being totally honest. I love the black outfits. They even kind of went like just a little bit with the ninja route, because this episode does actually start out at their like forest home, which I also thought was really cool that they brought that back. I was like, oh wow, it was cool that that's where they chose to have that burial. And they kind of went to that a little bit, mostly with Leo. I think actually only with Leo, but he had the bow and arrow on his back, and he used like a tiny bit. I didn't really see him use it that much. But I was like, that's cool that he had that, because he didn't in the other episode with the costume. But they kind of blended his like dark ninja costume with his forest costume as far as, you know, the weapons go. So that was really cool. But they all suited up. He got 2 new wakizashis, which was really cool, and they had like the wooden sheaths and stuff, and they just looked really freaking sweet. But everybody suits up. Casey gets the metal mask, which was like a huge nerd moment for me, because I was like, holy crap, he has like the official mask now, and that just looked really awesome. And it doesn't have to be metal, I guess, but it looked like the other one, and of course they made it metal because he slammed into a freaking truck and his mask shattered. So I was like, let's upgrade him a little bit this time. So they give him the old school style mask, and it's full on metal. I love that. And they also utilize it for sure in this episode when his body is almost shredded to pieces by that giant spinning like log of spikes and death. So they certainly utilized it with sparks flying off his face in this episode, but that was really cool. Just the way they went about all the action, where it was like some game of death type stuff, which I don't know if that was supposed to be the point, but they did make a reference to Bruce Lee, which was really awesome. And Bebop saying like, oh, they look like they're entering the dragon, or they think they're entering the dragon and stuff. So that was really funny. But before that, because and I was so surprised that this was a half-hour episode. I was like, man, this is them going after Shredder. This needs to be an hour, but it was such a jam-packed half hour. I'm not surprised they shortened it like this. Let's just make a like balls-to-the-wall action episode that's super intense and over the top, but they did it so well. And it starts off where they actually run into Baxter Stockman, and they hit him with some retro mutagen, which Mikey wasn't supposed to use, but it was a hilarious scene. And he turns human. I was like, I did not see that one coming. So he's human again, which also pissed him off, but he said a very great line where he was like, why wouldn't I, you know, retro mutagen myself if I wanted to be human? And as soon as he said that, this kind of goes in line with the dumb astral projection thing that somehow I forgot. I was like, yeah, he's effing smart. Why didn't I ever think of that? I never thought that since he became the fly version of Baxter Stockman. I have never once thought, why doesn't he turn himself human? It has literally never crossed my mind that he could make that happen. Like, that's like, it blew my mind when he said it, and I was like, wow, it feels like half a decade, which it probably has been considering the spacing of the seasons, but it's been forever since he's turned into the Fly, and it's never once occurred to me that he could actually turn himself human. And when he said it, I was like, that blew my mind. And then it just became super funny because he was so pissed off, and Mikey punched the crap out of him. He like hit him in the neck and took him down. But that was a really funny scene, and it was just like, wow, that never occurred to me. He could totally have done that if he wanted to. Just never even remotely entered my brain space that he could have done that himself. And he chose to stay as a Fly because he was smarter and stronger, and as he said, people actually liked him as a Bug, which I don't really think is the case. He technically kind of had the exact same role. I think he just got better at what he could do, so he was a bit more respected by Shredder. But that's a whole other thing, and it's Baxter Stockman, who knows. But they go on from Stockman, of course. We get Bebop and Rocksteady, and they're crazy, into the Dragon Dojo. And that was really awesome. Everybody's running around. A couple of characters get dropped into the crazy death pit, and there's the giant spike rolls going through, and then pillars start popping up in the air. And Donnie had a really cool moment where he almost fell, but he caught himself between two pillars that were rising on the bow staff, and he used it to propel himself again to flip onto another one. And I thought that was a cool moment. And they're going through, and Raph has to stab the thing to try to save everybody's life. So he saves Casey. Then the machine reactivates, and Donnie gets up there, and he has his little turtle and unlock symbol happen. So he's able to stop all that, and they beat Bebop and Rocksteady. Then we go on to Tiger Claw, who naturally is so badass that he's by himself. I just realized I totally skipped over Zephyr. But I'll get back to that after Tiger Claw. But they go after Tiger Claw, who has, his full robot arm, which is really cool. And they totally put Enter the Dragon on this one because he's switching arms and stuff, which is really cool. And so his arm gets taken off, and then he switches to like a handgun, or it was like a machine gun, and it could shoot the fire and the ice bullets. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then he swaps his hand out again, and he totally pulled out the 3-claw dragon thing from Enter the Dragon. I was like, that's definitely an Enter the Dragon reference. So I love that. And of course, they're fighting him and, trying to take him out and stuff. And they were about to, take him down. And then he opens up a hatch and he drops them into a pit. And so they end up escaping because April is super awesome. She was doing all sorts of stuff. She used like a force field when he turned his hand into a machine gun. She had like an actual force field. She had, she was making like an actual bubble to take all the characters and float them all up into the air. Leo put off a cool move after they all hit the ground, and he threw like 2 shuriken at like the perfect timing, and he knocked the gun out of Tiger Claw's hand, and it spun him around, and he hit the jetpack like half a second later. And I was like, that's insanely awesome, but it was really cool. And then that's when they go into Shredder, but like I said, I completely jumped over the very first battle, which was with Zevver. And I'm so glad I remember this. I wanted to mention this before I even started the review, but the dialogue that he had, so it was simple. He was like, your floundered fish and all that stuff. And then he said, I'm going to give you bass to mouth. And when he said that, I was like, I'm pretty sure, like 100% sure that was solely meant for adult viewers, because I think he was referencing something else that I will not reference solely for certain people that may or may not watch my review. But I was like, I'm pretty sure they made him say that for a very specific reason. And it wasn't about fish. So when he said that and they had that kind of pause, I was like, I understand why that was said. And Nickelodeon, things they can get away with sometimes are hilarious. But that would just made me laugh like crazy. Love the action sequence though. Of course, they go through, they beat up the original footbots, and then they get like the big footbots come in, and those things are chopping through each other. Like there's a part which is super awesome. There's so many amazing sequences as far as action in this episode, but the part where Leo and April are running and they both turn and throw like a ton of shuriken, that was a great sequence. There's a part where I think it was Leo again. He was throwing shuriken like individually, and they kept slowing down one of the big footbots, and it was being slowed so much, the one behind it just split it in half, basically like, all right, you're in my way, and it just chopped it in half and kept flying. I was like, wow, they just keep going. It's like too slow, and they cut through each other. I mean, obviously they're robots and not people, but it was still like, I wouldn't think that they would do that. Just because it makes more sense to have more robots just move past it, but it was a way cooler shot visually to have it like slice through its own, I guess, partner, even though the robots are still partners, and it slices through its own like robot partner. It keeps going at him because it's moving way faster. So I thought that was cool. But they get to Zevver, and I'm pretty sure he's dead, by the way. I'm sure he was able to like crawl himself out, but Raph gets to fight him, which I thought was cool. I forgot they even had like a rivalry because it's been so long, and Zevver and Razar, who may actually be dead. Maybe a train can't stop him, but drowning can, because he doesn't show up in this one, but Zevver does. So they end up fighting in the water and stuff, and it's Raph and Zephyr again, and he like rips the legs off, and he like takes the suction cups off so that he can breathe, and the whole oxygen tank. And they just leave him there, and I was like, so are they just going to leave him to, like, die or something? Because at first, honestly, after he did that, I thought everyone else was going to be like, geez, Raph, like, throw him in the water, let him live or something. But they was just like, moving on. So I was like, I don't know if he's dead or what happened there. But I'm like, that was kind of dark, because that dude can't, he's a fish now. He can't breathe on land. And he ripped all that crap off. It was like, I mean, he was right next to the beach, so it's easy where they could just, episodes pick up again. He totally crawled to the water, but they left him there to die. Like, it was just like, whatever happens, happens. He ripped all that stuff off. You can't breathe. Whatever. We're going into the, the base now to fight. So that was something when he just did that, and they kind of just left him there like, all right, moving on, next level. But they go through everything, and of course, we get to Shredder, and I love the way they did it. Of course, it starts off, we don't even get everyone to fight Shredder in this. He drops the gourd with like the flaming liquor in it, and it instantly knocks off Casey and April. So they're both out already, and it's the Turtles versus Shredder, and it was freaking phenomenal. Like the animation and the moves they were pulling off. Like there's a part, and I can't even remember. I think it was. I know Raph was one of them. I don't even remember who the other turtle was, but there's a part where they like one of them like kicked Shredder, and so he's flying through the air, and they're two turtles in mid-air, and they grab. I think it was Mikey, and he like grabs Raph, and he basically grabs him in midair and launches him down to try to stab Shredder straight through the heart. And it just looks so freaking cool to me. Like, it, honestly, it made me think of Naruto, which, that's like strictly a ninja anime. So it was like, they pull off like impossible stuff in that, like things ninjas can't actually do. And they kind of did that in this, but it made a little bit more sense. And I was like, that just looks so good. And they're both like just running, and they're flipping and flying all over the place. And when they first start the battle, they're all strategic, and it's like, one hits the leg from behind and they move, and they were like replacing each other, and it just looks so good where like a turtle would do something, and then they would duck down, and another turtle would come out of nowhere, and then they would like kick Shredder to the side, and then I think this was the beginning of the fight, like Leo kicked him to the right of the screen, and then Donnie showed up behind him. And it was just like, that was really amazing the way they were going through it, and they're slowly getting picked off one by one, like each turtle was getting knocked off. And I think Donnie was actually the first one to get knocked off, and he had a cool sequence too, where he was like in mid-air and he like grabs the staff and he's about to like fly straight down and kill him, but he gets taken out. Mikey has like the cool moment. I don't know if that was supposed to be a reference to Enter the Dragon as well, because I was like, what did that just happen? But he was doing the movements and stuff, and I think that was the point. But he gets taken out, and then it's down to Leo and Raph, and I think Leo like got completely wiped out, and then it was Raph kind of by himself, but Leo was still on the rooftop. And they had a great moment, of course, because Raph's super badass, when they're fighting, and it seems like Raph got like slammed through the wall, but he reversed it onto Shredder, and he was just slamming his head into the pipe. I was like, that's super cool. And I knew that wasn't the end, because of course he like fake passed out, and then of course he says fool, and that's when he like launches Raph off the rooftop. And of course it comes down to Shredder and Leonardo, and it was almost over. Leo was about to get taken down. I guess his arm wasn't officially broken. That's what I thought happened, was like he actually broke his arm. But once he was like kind of down and out, and he saw Splinter, and he said like, fear nothing, Leo went in like, honestly, it's funny thinking of it this way, but he kind of went into like almost an anime mode where like the main anime character gets like that inspirational speech, and then it just makes them inexplicably powerful. That's kind of what happened with Leo, and it was just really fast paced. It was like fear nothing, boom, he had the ninja eyes, and he was just like over the top. And there's actually some logical stuff to that with the whole astral plane and mind over matter, that sort of thing. Definitely applies to Ninja Turtles. But he went crazy, and he's kicking them, and he's rolling all over the place, and throwing shuriken, and slicing them up and stuff. And it comes down to the final moment, and they had a beautiful black and white sequence. I wish it lasted a little bit longer, and I might have to find like a still of it, because I loved it. But it was like a painting almost, where he like sliced through them, and it was like black and white for like a quick second, and it fades back to color. And I was like, that was amazing. Like, I love that visually, even though it was so short. But that was really great. And of course, everyone freaks out and they think Leo died, but of course he's fine, and he comes back with Shredder's helmet. And it's like, man, it's over. Like, it's done, and he drops the helmet, and that's it. Like, Shredder is gone for now. We'll see how long that lasts and what they decide to do with, the Turtles. But for now, he's gone, and the Turtles are good. Casey and April are there. Karai's actually there at the end with them as well. And everything's just good. Like, they're able to kind of relax, and it's just like, we did it. Like, we beat Shredder, and, they kind of just move on to the next thing, and they have a great ending shot where, of course, they have Master Splinter kind of show up, and he's, like, really huge and kind of watching over his family. So that was a great way to end the season. Amazing action. Actually really enjoyed the comedy. I think my favorite part, comedy-wise, which is no shocker, but is Bebop and Rocksteady. Always hilarious. Bebop said Shimon, which I'm pretty sure was the first time he actually said that. He's always saying like hee, but he never does like the Shimon thing. He may have done that when he like first showed up, but he hasn't done it in a super long time. But really good action, really good comedy. Love, seeing the costumes for the characters. Casey has, the metal mask, which is awesome. So little permanent things that showed up in this episode. Some brand new stuff with the dark ninja costumes for everybody. There was literally one sequence where I couldn't tell them apart though. It was like they did like a fist bump or something, and I was like, I couldn't freaking tell who the F just fist bumped who. Like, it was for like half a second, but I was like, I don't know who I'm looking at right now. I didn't look at the weapons because it was a quick shot. But other than that, I was able to tell who was who out of all the turtles. But that one segment, like, I'm pretty sure it was like a fist bump or something happened, or maybe a turtle like picked another turtle up. But I was like, that half a second, I could not tell who I was looking at. It was so fast. I was just like, who was that? Like, that was the only time. And I was like, without their headbands, it can be hard to tell. But for the most part, it was really easy. Like, you just look at their weapons and who has what, and you kind of get it. But that one segment when I like didn't look at their weapons or couldn't see them, I was just like, I don't even know what's happening. Who is that? But really great episode. Love the costumes. Like I said, of course, the upgrade for Casey, taking down Shredder, taking down, everybody. We'll see. I'm sure Zebra isn't dead, but we'll see what they do with that. And it seems like Tiger Claw is going to be the main villain when things kind of... Well, he'll at least be the villain that kind of kicks off whoever the main villain is going to be. So that should be interesting. Like, they go full demon once they come back. So I'm actually really excited for that, to see, will these characters stick together? Like, what's Baxter Stockman going to do now that he's human again? Is he going to try to go back? He still has those billboards. It was at the end of this episode. Every time I see those Mouser billboards, I'm like, man, why are those still up? So maybe he'll go back to his old company, or, try to do that. But there's still a lot out there. We haven't seen the Purple Dragon in quite a while. They haven't been, like, really important at all for this, really for, like, the series. They haven't been that important compared to, like, the 2002 series, where they're like a huge component. But really, really amazing season finale. Can't wait for the show to come back and we get whatever these tales are going to be. I'm definitely excited for them. I think they're going to dive deeper into kind of like the comic universe, which I'm really looking forward to see more stuff that I'm not familiar with from the comics. And maybe some of the things that I'm slightly familiar with, maybe because of the older version of the series. But love the finale, of course. Would love to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And now, I think we're moving on into a crazy new era for this series. No more Shredder, sadly no more Splinter. What characters from the greater Ninja Turtles universe do you guys want to see? Because there are a ton of them out there. Recently introduced a couple, especially with like Alopex being introduced. Of course, we have Mona Lisa out there, so they can bring her back. Fugitoid has still been up in space, so I'm sure we'll see him once they get back to these tales. But we'd love to know what greater characters you guys would like to see. Maybe some crossovers. There are quite a few crossovers with the Turtles, so we'd love to know what you guys want to see from the series going from this point. And of course, what you guys thought about this finale. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.